Every year, more than 3 million high school students graduate. And some of them go into the military, some of them go into work, some might end up going to prison. But a good chunk of them, actually decide to go to college. Now, whether they go to college for a good reason or not, it's always for each individual to decide. However, we have a question today of how much college debt is acceptable? How much is acceptable for you to decide that it's going to be the correct amount so that you can leverage your future to earn a piece of paper? Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, there's lots of ways to figure it out. It could be, I don't know, the amount of money you expect to earn in your job can be the total amount that you spend at college. No matter how you decide what the correct amount is of college debt that you should get, we don't really have control over that. And so, as for the people who have decided to go to college, maybe your kids are going to college, maybe grandkids, those of you who have decided, you know, there is no correct amount. There's no correct amount of money that you should go into debt for to pay for college. And it's not because you shouldn't go to college, but it's because once you start going into college, you don't always necessarily know what the expenses are going to look like. However, what you do know, you have an approximation. But what are you going to do? Are you going to get to your final semester at college and say, well, snap, I had only planned to spend $50,000 and we're at $50,000, so I've got to stop. No. There's no way any of us would do that. Because that's the issue. Generally speaking, once you decide to go to college, and you really decide to go to college, the longer you spend taking classes, the more committed you have to be to at least finish. And this is actually where a lot of people get into trouble. I know when I went to college, I took so many college classes, I eventually said, whoa, I need to get at least an associate's. I have all these credits. Let's get an associate's. So I did that. And then I said, well, I've got all these credits. I may as well just move the goalposts and get a bachelor's. Well, I did that. And, it didn't really help me any because ultimately, all that ended up happening is I just racked up more student loan debt. Yeah, that college degree may have helped a little bit, and it did get me a few jobs making $40,000 a year, equivalent to what a McDonald's worker makes these days. But in the end, it didn't really do me much good. I probably could have done much better had I never gone to college in the first place. And I know there are people who decide to hinge their self-worth based off whether they have a college degree or not. I get it. There's a lot that goes into it. But I'd like you to consider something. I'd like you to consider that if you're going to go to college, that you make sure that the degree that you're going to get is a valuable one. And currently, we are in a stage where not only are we in a recession-like period, but the economy has shifted. We don't know the impact that AI is going to have on our economy. We have no idea. We don't know what's going to happen. Things are shifting. We have lots of people in our country who frankly, probably shouldn't be here. We have lots of people in our country who don't want to work. We have a lot of push for people to get a minimum income. We have a lot of things of this nature that's shifting our country, and it'll shift it forever. And whether that turns out good or not, that's what we're fighting over right now in our country politically, is the difference between a country that is strong, a country where we have independence and we celebrate individuality. We either have that or a situation to where we have a oligarchy essentially running our country, where a few people at the top, a committee of people, determine what's right and wrong for everybody else. Not necessarily a dictatorship, but just a bunch of dictators all working together with one common goal. And that is to retain their own power and let the little guys fight over the scraps. So I want you to put this in perspective. We hear about younger people, Gen Z people, and others talk about how expensive rent is these days. So you could be looking at, $1,500, $2,000 a month, maybe more, depending on what area you're in. And you go, oh man, I just can't pay that. That's just so much. And it is. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, most colleges, I remember after I graduated from college, I'd end up spending $350 a month, $500 a month. And I even got to a certain place where I had an entire 2-bedroom apartment for $600 a month. And, you know, that wasn't too bad. It seemed a little expensive at the time. But nowadays, that same place would probably be $1,200, $1,500 a month. So let's put this in perspective. The average in-state tuition for college is about $10,000 a year. About $9,000, $10,000, depending on which state that you're in. Now, again, we're talking about in-state tuition, public university, so kind of keep that in mind. So let's just pretend. Let's just put it at $10,000. And so if you take that $10,000 and divide it by 12, it comes out to being a little over $800 a month. And you say, okay. So people are graduating college, and they're trying to find a job. They're trying to find a place to live, and they're having to pay $1,500 a month. And some are able to pay it, some are not. Now, obviously, they're able to work full-time jobs, that sort of thing. But what if I were to say, what if you went to college and you worked a job, maybe part-time hours, maybe just over the weekend? Could you earn $800 a month? Could you put that into a bank account so that you could pay for your college? What if it was just $500 a month? What if it was just $500? So over the year, you would end up paying $6,000 a year on college. So that cuts down to principal from being $10,000 a year to $4,000. That's a little bit more palatable. But what if you went to it planning, knowing that when you go into college, you're simply just going to put money aside? Maybe you work in high school, set money aside. Mathematically, it is possible to save enough money every year to work for the money to actually pay. But this is not what's going on. This is not the reality. This is not what we teach. If you want to be like everybody else and be poor, be debt poor because of student loans, you go right on ahead. But if you want to be different, if you want a chance of becoming, I don't know, like a millionaire or something like that, how about you start your life by not going into debt? But we all know what the real issue is. The real issue is that people don't grow up. People aren't ready for college. People kick the can down the road. They go, oh, I went to high school for free. I'm going to go to college for free as well. And this is what they think. I remember I was one of these people where I didn't really think about the cost. The cost wasn't that important to me. It was for somebody else to worry about. It wasn't my debt. It was just some number. I mean, what does it matter? I mean, 5 years from now, when I have to start paying it back, that's forever. What do I care? And so you go in, you walk in the door, you sit down, and you do your classes. And while you could be working, and while you could be attempting to pay off that debt, you don't. Because instead, you're going to spend all your time focusing on classes, spend your time focusing on clubs or organizations or sports. You don't have time to think about the uncomfortableness that you have to pay back debt. It's not sexy. Nobody really wants to do it. So what would be a reasonable amount of debt to take on for student loans for your college life? 0. You should plan on 0, because 0 is your path to victory. 0 is your path to success. 0 debt allows you to grow and to be the person that you need to be, instead of some sucker who's got a ball chain around his neck. That's it for today. I'm SP Graham. This is JobFerno. If you have any questions, send me an email at questions@jobferno.com. And as always, choose skills over money.